All right. So are you 0-1? Are you 1-1? The scores don't matter. It's just fun. Let's go to question 2, where we're going to switch topics away from summons and go to X-bursts. Now, everybody knows that after they've had a few games under their belt that you can't respond to an X-burst, right? An X-burst goes off, you can't respond with a summon or an ability to try and negate or mitigate the results of that X-burst. An X-burst is in its own stack and resolves completely, and then we go back to the standard stack that may have been created before the X-burst, during, or after the X-burst. And there you're allowed to respond, but the X-burst gets to complete. So having said that, I pose this question to you. We've got Big Daddy Dataluma on the board, and in this case, you probably already know Dataluma's abilities, but just in case, let's get that on the screen for you. And take a look at Big Daddy Dataluma, who says that when Dataluma is chosen by your opponent's summons or abilities, choose one forward the opponent controls and bust it right in the mouth with 4,000 damage. Also, when Dataluma is dealt damage, choose one forward the opponent controls and bust it right in the face for 4 grand as well. Now you've got this body on the board, and your opponent, as you swing away, pops an X-burst because they're a lucky bastard and they cheat probably. Maybe they don't, but who knows. You've got Dataluma on the board, and they can't resist the opportunity to try and take this bad boy out because he's a thorn, and you're building up some cactuars. So they opt to use the X-burst on your Dataluma. Now, the X-burst itself really doesn't matter, but to be specific, we're going to have this particular X-burst both choose and deal damage. So maybe something like a Brunhilde. Your opponent chooses Dataluma with this X-burst and rocks him with some damage too, assuming that maybe later in the turn they have a follow-up to get Dataluma off the board here. And that's their reason for doing this. So Dataluma 1 gets chosen by an X-burst, and Dataluma 2 gets damage dealt to him by an X-burst. Both of those, in a typical combat or summon situation, would result in Dataluma pinging some bastards in the face twice. So, I ask you, can Dataluma respond to the X-burst here? I'm going to give you 3 options. If you think Dataluma can't respond to the X-burst in any way and therefore doesn't get to ping for any damage, click here. If you think Big Daddy gets to respond to either being chosen or to taking the damage and gets at least one 4K ping off, click here. If you think Daddy gets both triggers for being chosen and damage and thus gets to toss out 2 sweet 4K packages to some forwards your opponent controls, dealing 8K damage in total, click here. Ready?